This week's episode is brought to you by the home and auto insurance brand Canadians trust most, Intact Insurance. Hey ho, it's Janny-O. Welcome to the Jann Arden podcast. I'm here with Sarah Burke, who always runs the board and produces and does stuff, and our executive producer, Caitlin Green. Caitlin and I have been working together. We are at 4 years. Caitlin, I just wanted to remind you that
That's crazy.
It was around this time of year. You and I have been working together for 4 years.
That's wild to me.
It might even be a little bit more than 4 years. Caitlin and I started down this path. Some of you might want to hearken back to The Business of Life. I was doing a podcast with Arlene Dickinson, and it was a great podcast. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
And as life goes, I mean, you can only imagine how busy Arlene is and how busy Caitlin is and how busy I was. But we had a great time doing that podcast. And I have had some questions about, where's that going? And Arlene and I keep trying to frickin' get together for dinner to catch up. And you can still see her on Dragon's Den and doing books and doing deals and all the great stuff that Arlene does. So, Caitlin and I started there. That's where we met.
Wild.
But we knew each other from before that. And I'm saying this morning or this afternoon or this evening, whenever you're listening to this, because I've had so many people ask me where you and I started from and where we knew each other from.
Our origin story.
Our origin story. And you would know probably a little bit more than me because your memory is younger and better. But I came into the Chum Morning Show a lot when you were there.
Yeah. Yes, you did. You would come on, and it was, because you were in the building, you were promoting new projects you had, and you have a great friendship with Marilyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were just like immediately, Jann just presented herself as someone who was not only artistically talented, but who has a great personality, someone who you want to listen to, who you're going to laugh at. So you did radio appearances better than just about anybody. And I think when you were on The Social, and then you had your own TV show. And so the now former executives at Bell, but the people who were there at the time had a real eye for that stuff. And we're like, let's get you a podcast. Let's get you more places because you're very good at this.
Well, no, it's fun to talk to people, isn't it? And
it's so fun.
I do enjoy a podcast. I've been listening to a new podcast to me. They've been on the air for a couple years. 2 fucking zany women from Oklahoma, and it's called the I've Had It podcast.
Oh my God. I love them. Love.
Pumps and Jennifer. Pumps. And they have taken on the patriots of America. They have taken on, but the one thing I wanted to touch on is they have a similar problem to us with right-wing kind of conservative ideologies, whether it's the Christian right, the extreme political right, the Freedom Convoy people, the anti-vaxxers. I mean, I love hearing them speak to kind of the same group of people that we deal with up here quite often.
We should have them on.
And well, I don't know if they do other people's podcasts, but they were talking about the flag.
I'm going to ask.
Yeah. They were
Caitlin's
talking
like messaging right now.
I'm like, okay.
They were talking about the flag, and we also share a similar quandary with our Canadian flag with the red maple leaf and it's been, flown upside down, and the convoy anti-vax people hijacked the Canadian flag. And I can't even look at it now without a certain amount of sorrow, a little bit of disdain, some disappointment. And these ladies were talking about a podcast that they did in May about taking back their flag, that they wanted to be able to fly their flag. And I think Pumps and Jennifer were like, I'm not flying that fucking flag. I'm not putting that up. I don't know what people are going to think of me. I'm flying the gay flag. I'm flying the pride flag. But they really do make me laugh.
They're funny together. They just have a great friendship. You know what's funny though is that like, so they are podcasts. I became familiar with them through social, and it was their social clips and the trajectory and the reach of their social presence that introduced me to them for the first time. And I forget, I think they were talking about reality TV. And so like, that's kind of my like lane. And I was like, ooh, what are they talking about? And they were talking about like drama on a reality TV show and some pop culture stuff. And the way they said stuff was so funny and just very don't care.
It is hilarious.
It's hilarious. And there are comedians in your everyday life that you know. And I think that is what I love about podcasting and radio when it's done well, is that you feel like they're your friend. You feel like they're your funny friend that you just love listening to. And that, oh my God, that's the best. I always have podcasts in. And I feel like a freak, but I don't care, because when my AirPods are in, I just tell my husband, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go hang out with my friends, because I think they're my friends. Like,
it's really great. So if you guys are looking for a really acerbic, sardonic, pleasantly spiteful podcast that is spiteful in all the right directions,
with a great accent,
I've had it. And
we can link it in the show notes. We'll put it in.
But definitely listen to these women. And the fact that they're older, they're not as old as I am. I think they would be in their 50s, safe to say. I don't think they're in their 60s, because they look damn fine. They look great.
Should we fly the pride flag for a moment?
Yeah. I mean, it has been Pride Month. We're coming into Pride in Calgary. I believe it's their week of festivities is coming up.
This episode will come out on Stonewall Day, actually, now that I think of it.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah, so like the historic Stonewall riots.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to have a history lesson right now.
I think that that's Friday. Oh my gosh, I completely didn't even connect those two dots.
So Marsha P. Johnson is at like the center of the Stonewall riots, if you're not familiar. And
tell us a bit about it.
Well, Pride really started as protest, right? It became sparkles and celebration, and those things are still great. But, it began as protest, and at the center of it, Marsha P. Johnson, she was a Black gay liberation activist, self-identified drag queen, and like known for being outspoken about gay rights. And she was one of the prominent figures in the Stonewall Uprising. That was in 1969.
If you don't want to be married to gay people, then don't marry them.
And don't do it, guys. We really suggest that as your first course, first line of defense.
If you don't want to be in a gay marriage, don't marry a gay person. So
don't do it.
How much simpler can we lay it out for these straight people?
Well, yeah, and what you're saying about these other
straight people,
you damn straights.
in the other, podcasters that you're talking about, right? Like, I'm sure they go through that topic too, of like, why do people care so much about who you love, right? Like,
yeah,
I will never, for the life of me, they always talk about indoctrination. They're getting them in these things at school, and they're teaching all about that. And, I'm just accent. Like, they're actually really not. The kids are so savvy though. I have so much faith in young people. I have so many great stories of friends that do have kids in junior high and senior high, and their kids are they've got friends that are like considered trans, or they have they, them pronouns.
Yeah.
And they do it. They deal with it without blinking an eye.
Yeah.
And so even if the teachers are struggling, with the bullshit that are put on their plates, because I think a lot of teachers are reluctant to go down that road. They just want to teach their students the information. Sure. They don't want to politicize them or weaponize kids against each other. They just want to teach. So anyway, yeah.
They're like, leave math out of this.
No kidding.
Truly leave us alone. That's what I feel like. I'm like, okay, so we're heading into like elections and all this stuff. Yeah. I'm like, where is the politician who's running on the platform of like, leave us alone on all fronts? Like, I just want to be left alone. But I am going out for Pride. I'm going out on Sunday. Sunday's like my day, and I get to go out with all of my friends, and there's an epic Pride party that happens, and then we go to this amazing the 519, like the organization on Church here in Toronto. They do like a big beer garden on Church Street, so I'll go to a party. That's beforehand.
So gay, a beer garden.
I know.
How fucking gay are we gonna get here? Beer garden.
But I think that the funny thing to me is like I go on Sunday, so it's the last day of Pride in terms of the street festivities here in Toronto along Church, and so I tell everybody I will stay with you until I have to go pee, and then I must leave because those porta potties have been baking for 3 days in the sun.
Oh.
And I braved them when I was younger, but
Just pop a squat, girl.
cannot.
Go in the porta potty.
I am in a sea of thriving people in harnesses. There is no squat popping happening.
Okay,
I am
fair.
like,
What about
there
those
are
pee funnels?
fans. Like, I could get a pee funnel, and I'm sure like maybe some people would like be into it if I did pop one of those out. But like, I just feel I require a peaceful moment to go to the bathroom.
And
so
I just might not come back.
Here's a story for you.
That's what I tell everyone. I'm going to leave.
This has nothing to do with gay pride, but it does have something to do with peeing. So I'm on my ride on Mower last week. I had a
my God.
No, maybe that is gay. Maybe this is a gay story. So I'm on my ride on Mower, and I'm looking up at the clouds. My friend had said to me, if you're going to do it, you better do it now because it's supposed to be thunderstorm, yada, yada, yada.
In your Wonder Bra.
So I am flying out there. I'm in my Wonder Bra. My boobs are hunkered down for the terrain that is my yard. Anyway, I don't know why I didn't go to the bathroom before I got on there, but I was panicking. I'm like, I can't stop the tractor and shut it off and go into the house and go to the bathroom. I think you guys know where this is going. So I live nowhere. No one can see me. My neighbors are far, far away. So I left the tractor idling, and then I jumped off and just yarded my shorts down and just peed in the trees. And I had an ant going up my leg, so I'm trying to swat at that. So now I've peed on my slider, my foot, because the ant scared me. I'm like, I do not want that ant to make it to my vagina. Like, I need to. So I'm moving, trying to sweat it out of the way, and I'm still peeing, and I hit my slider. So I'm kind of like trying to wipe that off in the ground. Like, it really went sideways very quickly. And then as I look up and notice the tractor idling, it is slowly moving forward. It's not the greatest tractor in the world. The blades aren't on, but the tractor is moving away from me. So I had to get my shorts up, rapidly, flick the ants, plural now, that are crawling up my leg. And I'm like freaking out. They're little bastards, those ants.
This is your doing, though, because you won't kill them.
No, I did have an exterminator come and get the ones around my gate.
Thank goodness.
I said a prayer and I felt bad about it. And but anyways, I hopped back on the tractor, and I did have a laugh to myself. I had my cap on and my T-shirt, my Wonder Bra. Sorry, Wonder Bra. This is probably nowhere in your wheelhouse of how you want to tout your products.
They're very diverse. It's fine.
They're for everyone.
They're for everyone. So yeah, and then I just finished mowing the lawn and immediately showered and put everything in the shower, and I put my sliders in the washing machine as well. Sarah's not having a good time listening to this story.
No, I'm loving it. I'm loving
it. But there you have it. So and that's all the time we have for today. So
Jann at her core is a storyteller, and so that painted a very visceral, and a lumberjack. That painted a very visceral picture of being peed on by yourself. Well, I was peed on this week too.
Oh, listen, can we just back up a bit here? I didn't pee on anything but my shoe.
You peed on yourself.
So Caitlin Green, okay, peeing on yourself is a bit of a stretch, folks. I was trying to maneuver from the ant, and if anyone knows, when you're in squat position, you can't stop the stream of pee.
No. Your glutes are engaged.
We've either gained listeners or lost listeners. I don't know what just happened in the last few
My son peed on me because I learned the hard way. I learned this hard way.
Here we go.
See, there's a fountain when it comes to your son, so that makes more sense.
So this was more of this was a covert peeing on moment where we were at the splash pad, and my son.
That's a good one. Splash pad.
Yeah, we were at the splash pad near us, and he's running around, and I put him in a swim diaper. Because I figure he's getting wet.
That's what I use in the hot tub.
Yeah, the little swimmers. Nice. Okay, so what I didn't know about little swimmers, and I guess I failed some sort of Mom 101 course along the way, is that little swimmers, children's swim diapers, are only to physically catch and hold poop. They do not do anything for water. Okay. Nothing. Zero absorbency.
Don't they fill with water?
No, they don't. They're designed to literally be a waterproof poop catcher. That's it. So when you see a kid in the pool, if that kid's peeing, guess what? It's a pee party. If you get into a pool with a bunch of kids and they're little swimmers, their pee is just going everywhere, because he sat on me in this little swimmer and he just peed all over me. I mean, I was soaked like he was sitting in my lap having a snack. And I was like, why is he so wet? He hasn't been in that much water. We've just been like running through the splash pad. And then I learned from my other mom friends that they are not absorbent, these diapers. So I just want everyone to know that there needs to be like a public awareness campaign about the fact that if you go to a public pool and you see a bunch of kids in there swimming around, their pee is not being absorbed by those diapers. It's just to prevent poop.
And don't tell anyone I pop a squat on the golf course. That's the only thing I can contribute here.
You do?
If I need to.
So you'll go into the trees?
Yeah, if I need to, and there's not like a porta potty or a bathroom for a couple holes, then I gotta go.
Just check for ticks.
I have no problems at all. I have pulled my car over, opened the door. Like I've peed in the ditch on Deerfoot Trail. So anyone in Calgary that knows Deerfoot Trail, it was 25 years ago. I was dropping Terry Clark off at the airport. We had been up partying, and I got her to the airport barely. Terry, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I managed to get you there just in the nick of time, but I had to go to the bathroom so bad. And as I'm driving back, so I literally pulled off somehow on the ditch, and it was maybe like 5:30 in the morning. So just starting to get busy, and it was dark. So it was kind of fall winterish. And I opened the door, my passenger door, got in behind it and peed in the ditch. I couldn't take it. I could not take one more minute of holding my pee. I've said to myself so many times over the years, don't ever put yourself in a situation where you have to go to the bathroom. Like, be prepared. Go when you see a bathroom. So now, like in Edinburgh, every time, even if I didn't have to go, I'd say to the girls, I'm going to pop into this coffee shop. I'm going to buy a freaking coffee. I'm going to spend £4, and I'm going to have a 4-pound, not poo, because that would be deceiving. It's not a 4-pound poo. It's a 4-pound pee. And anyway, and I'm so glad that I did. I did not once in that trip did I get caught out walking for miles having to go to the bathroom, because that will ruin your day. This is a public service announcement to the people listening to this podcast.
Preventative pee measures.
Yeah. And I'm sorry you got peed on. So what did you do? Now you've got a lap full of pee. Did you just go in the water?
No, I just we had to wrap up our time at the park. He was pretty well done anyways. And then honestly, like a baby pee is like nothing. It's just
is it like a walk of shame home? Or
no, I don't care. It was more of a stride of pride. I was like, I've been peed on by my own son, who's adorable, and I view his pee to be adorable, so I don't really care. Perfect. And by the time I got home, I was pretty well dry. So, and you know what it was? I was wearing black technical fabric Lululemons, so you couldn't really see it. You could see a bit of my t-shirt being wet, so it wasn't too embarrassing. But little kids pee, I don't know. It's kind of
You know what? Embarrassment. Let's just cut out the embarrassment. It doesn't matter. Yeah. We're all people. We all do stuff. Now, getting back to pride before we move on, because I have a few questions to ask you, Caitlin. Here at the Jann Arden podcast, we support the LGBTQ plus community and Two-Spirit community, all the pluses. We support this community to the ends of the earth and back, and we do not waver from that. And if you don't like that, you don't need to listen to us, but we are here to support our community. And we all have friends, that are
colleagues.
Yeah, people are people, and I hope you will change your way of thinking. If you are listening to this and you're sitting on that fence where you just turn your nose up or think that it's wrong or think that God's going to be involved, trust me when I tell you, God is no more involved in gay people than he is in a child getting cancer. So let's please do your math, God is not handing out punishment and reward, because that just makes absolutely no sense.
I also feel like God's saying, like I am to politicians, leave me alone, leave me out of this.
You go live your life and do your thing.
Yeah.
I have a pride flag that flaps away on my deck. It ain't the Canadian flag, because until we can, straighten that mess out and not feel, if I were to have a Canadian flag in my yard, what would that indicate to everyone in my neighborhood, especially in Alberta? They'd say, oh, she's one of us. Yeah. She's she wants some freedom and she hasn't had it. That's what it says to me. I can't do it anymore.
I see in Toronto, I still see some Canadian flags. I see them in cottage country a lot, actually. Like, flags are more common because you have you have more
that's
land.
Great. It's good. But for me in Alberta, sorry, I can't do it.
You feel like it's been
it's been hijacked.
Hijacked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Growing up in Alberta, I feel like we have covered many stories about Alberta now, but growing up in Alberta, how did you feel about that stuff, growing up?
Oh my God.
Was it welcoming?
It wasn't spoken about as much when I
Right.
was like in junior high and high school, but we had gay kids in high school that were quite out. Now, keep in mind, there was 40 kids,
I was
42
gonna
kids
say
in my
that's like
class.
that's
And
big.
maybe in the whole high school, there was 80, 90 kids. That would have been 78, 79, kind of in there. But I think because I've always been an artist and in an artistic community,
Yeah.
my view from where I stood in my life was always very open, very progressive, very liberal. I didn't I never ran into any stuff that
Yeah.
was I
It
just
just
didn't.
feels more. It feels more extreme everywhere right now. And then you kind
Yeah.
of lose the plot of like what connects us all, and the same things that we all want in our life. I
Well,
feel
we've gone
like,
backwards, don't you think, Caitlin?
yeah.
The
Well, and
last year or so with
it's like
trans rights and
it's like gone backwards, but also I'm like, is it worse? Like I'm like, I don't even know if it's fair to say that it's reflective of like a time that I like remember, but I don't know. Maybe I am looking at things, through a different lens because I don't remember what it was like to be, you know, to live through some things like like the Stonewall riots and all that stuff. So I wasn't there, so it's hard to say, but I mean,
You know
I
what
have a
really struck me? Sorry, you tell
yeah.
your first.
No, like, well, my cousin, I remember
Yeah.
he lived in a small town here in Ontario, and he took out a full page ad in his small town newspaper to say, I'm gay. Because
wow.
he wasn't
Whoa.
finding that he was being necessarily, although I shouldn't speak for him, but I think that the primary reason he was doing this was because he felt like his identifying as gay was being dismissed, not so much, openly discriminated against, but kind of like not
Wow.
necessarily taken seriously. And he's like the bravest out and proud, like political activist. Like he's so impressive in that way and has always known himself. And my great uncle was a drag performer on the London stage, one of the first
Hmm.
ones way back in the day. And he actually served as a drag performer in the in the UK Army during World War II.
Wow.
And in
To
World War II,
entertain the troops.
yes. And I forget the name. I think it was called Tin Cup Follies or something to that effect. And it was him and a bunch of other
Love it.
performers. And so, there is this amazing history of obviously, drag
Yeah.
performances and gay rights. I mean, for crying out loud, it was in the army.
Was
So,
it the Titicut Follies?
no, that is a
Okay.
documentary about insane asylums, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Sorry.
That's a different group of people.
Different.
Gotta
I just
say,
did
love
it
that
quick.
documentary. I actually studied it when I was studying documentaries, but it was the only reason why I knew
What
that
were you
off the
going
top
to
of my
say,
head.
Sarah?
But
Oh, okay. So this like just sort of stuck with me. So I'm working with some new creators on the network. They have a new podcast that actually launches on the day that our podcast episode comes out, called Late in '88, and
mhm.
it's about growing up in Calgary, actually, when there wasn't terms like non-binary. So they're exploring the queer experience then versus now.
Well, this is
Uh,
all new to all of us, the non-binary stuff.
yeah.
I thought it was a mathematical term, a binary number, right?
You may actually know one of the hosts, Bronwyn Parks. I think she's designed some, or they have designed some of your artwork for an album
Yes, for
previously.
A&M. Yeah,
Yeah,
Bronwyn,
so
sure.
Bronwyn's one of the hosts.
Never
So
liked her.
ha.
Kidding.
So Bronwyn and Eleanor, they're like going back to 1988 in this specific time around like Stanley Cup, Olympics, like so many things happening in Calgary around that time. And like Bronwyn comes from an experience at home where family was very supportive of all this stuff.
Mm.
Uncle was out, like
Mhm.
Pride in Toronto, and then Eleanor did not have the same experience, and they're basically exploring how supporting each other at that time when they were too afraid to talk about it could have
Yeah.
paved a different path. But what struck me, we were working on the show notes, and I was like, oh, I noticed like the people you're interviewing, you're not putting their their full names. Like we should grab a proper bio from these people. And the response was protecting them
Oh.
because there's so much hate in these communities online still, which we sort of touched
Oh,
on. And that
people,
really
come
struck
on.
me.
Just
That's sad.
stop with all this hatred
Right?
shit. It's just, do you know what? It's getting boring. It's you guys are
Yeah.
boring, boring, boring. Your hatred, your vitriol, your
Yeah.
disgusting viewpoints. You think these people are the ones
Yeah.
that are ruining society? You're fucking ruining society. Your hatred, your fucking bullshit stance on the LGBTQ plus that your hatred your viewpoints are ruining the world. So
We just fired Jann.
nah. No, seriously, we're not the assholes. You're the assholes.
Well, I also feel a little bit like I see a lot of commentary around, everyone wanting to have their own freedom. Like that's been a big word that I think gets co-opted by different groups. And so I feel like, don't you yourself want to be left alone many times, like from these people? I'm like, you yourself would like to be left alone. So just leave other people alone.
It would be like someone commenting on a haircut constantly. You get your haircut. Now you have people weighing in all day fucking long. Your haircut's ruining the community. Your haircut.
Yeah, I'm like,
you're really affecting kids. My daughter
you
can't
want to
see
be
a bowl
left
cut.
alone. You're saying you're like, I don't want to keep hearing about this. I'm like, you're exposing yourself to it. Number one, you have failed to recognize the role that social media plays in constantly feeding you stuff that's designed to make you upset. So when you find yourself on social media constantly getting upset, and you don't know how to turn off the faucet to your own anger by just changing your algorithm or disengaging, like they've got you. I feel like saying that. I'm like, they got you, bro. Like they caught you. They caught you in this web of making you perpetually upset at other people who, like you, just want to be left alone. So leave people alone. They will leave you alone. And disengage on social media and re-engage with your day-to-day life, because honestly it is like hearkening in this new era of people being poorly socialized and mentally unwell, and
stupid
stupid. I mean, I'm like,
Caitlin's writing a thesis over here though.
But I'm like, people have all, like, let's be fair, people have always been pretty like stupid. I'm like stupid in many ways.
There's a lot of stupid,
but it's new. It is new that people are very like loudly upset all the time, and that they're addicted to that stress hit that they get. They're addicted to that negative feeling that
but
they get.
They sure find their like-minded people. They sure attract their fellow haters. What a thing to attract. What a thing to go out on a social imagine going onto social media to find people that hate stuff with you. Imagine the energy that pulls into your life.
Get another hobby.
Let's go out into the world. I'm going to find people that hate just like I do.
The accent.
I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel right now.
Jan's in a place of twang.
Yeah, it just is. It's I feel like
I'm
you
like,
gotta push back.
I'm very like at my core, I am very like, I just view things like a very long view. Like that's how I kind of that's my purview of stuff. And so I really don't get it, because when I see so many people,
you have empathy.
Well, I'm like, you vote for a different person than maybe this person votes for, like blue tie, red tie, like to
that's
an
okay.
Extent. Who gives a shit?
Speaking of which.
But I also am like, guys, like we all want to like love our families. We all want to be upwardly mobile in life. Well, I hope so, I guess. We all want to eat food. We all want to enjoy our day. We all
want to go to the movies. We want to go sit by a river and look at the stars. And we want to have health. People. Yes, we just want to live our lives unencumbered by judgment. And but listen.
Yeah.
You were going to say something, Sarah. We're all very excited today, folks. We got riled up about Pride Week.
We did. We love Pride. We have a lot of it over here.
So last Friday, after
are we changing topics now? Okay,
let's a little bit, but still staying on the same path. Our friend Naheed Nenshi, who had such a terrible cold when he was on the show, and we made it
still did it. Still came into the appearance.
Did it. Trooper,
honestly.
But got elected to be the head of the NDP party
by a landslide.
By a landslide.
Just great news, and not
you
someone...
took my heart. It was a landslide. You know it was a landslide.
Not the landslide I was expecting.
Next time we're charging for tickets.
Olivia Newton-John. To have 63,000 some odd votes for the leadership of the party, it not only did it set a record, but the Alberta NDP is the largest opposition party in Canada. It is officially, it's got so many members. They went from having 13,000 members when the leadership races started, and this has a lot to do with Mr. Nenshi, and to over 85,000 paid memberships. So those memberships are $10 a piece. So not only did they raise almost $1 million for the NDP party to be used, in really, really creative ways to, push the whole idea of fairness, equality, gender equality, a one for all kind of an attitude, not just some people. And I think that's what the Conservatives have done in Alberta. If you are in the oil business, and if you are considered really religious, and if you are against, trans people having rights, and if you are against an education that's, inclusive and a broad spectrum of the things that we're going to learn, you should see the kind of agenda they try and cram down the throats of people in the education system. It's so disgusting what the Danielle Smith government has done in Alberta. It's just pathetic. But anyway, he is a shining light. He's a very intelligent, gifted orator.
Person.
His speech was it was so inspiring to listen to.
And I thought that, it was interesting to learn so much more about him when we were doing research for his appearance. And I knew that he was a very highly regarded and long-serving mayor for Calgary. Mm-hmm. But then when I learned that he would intentionally wear purple to represent a combination of blue and red, because he subscribes to kind of big tent politics, which is like everyone is invited in.
And he was always nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan, which is so important. And also to say, like, I'm about ideas and I'm about solutions, instead of saying I'm going to go extreme one way or the other, or like once I join one party, I can't wrap my head around anything that the other one is saying, which I think has eroded our discourse in general. So I didn't know much about him, but I was super impressed with him. And I've interviewed I've had the good fortune to interview some people in politics before. And I wasn't always so impressed. And he was good.
We might as well call out Trudeau. We're waiting for your appearance. He may be coming on the show. We've been working out dates, and Mr. Trudeau.
We'll get him. We'll get him. Yeah. I think Prime Minister Trudeau is really, his people are really making a concerted effort to make an appearance on our show, and they really haven't given us a lot of rules. Cool. Laying out our questions for the Prime Minister. So I think it's going to be done very fairly.
Yeah,
and
we'll keep you posted when it's coming.
I would talk to any politician that wanted to come on the show. They'd be they would be treated the same as we would treat anybody else on the show.
Exactly.
Except if Bette Midler was on the show, we would treat her better.
We would be really nice to her.
We would be super nice to her. So Bette Midler, if you're out there, listen. Anyway, this is a proud show, and
oh my gosh,
we are a people proud show, and we want to see, women's rights continue forward. There's just so many things erode away.
Rights.
Yeah, and women's rights and gay rights are human rights, but everyone deserves to have that. Anyhow, moving on. I really don't want to miss out on this story because there's a few things I want to speak about. Caitlin brought us a few things. One of them being Taylor Swift's man making an appearance at one of her shows in a top hat and a tux, no doubt, and he picked her up and carried her around. And I have dreams of anybody picking me up and carrying me around, which I don't think is going to happen.
Do you like that feeling?
Certainly not. One of my favorite feelings of all times. And then I'm going to let you answer this question. Drive-ins, weekends, mom and dad, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. We went every weekend. Mom and dad loved the movies. And the drive-ins were cheap. They could take the kids. We fell asleep. Dad carrying me in through the cold night air and setting me into bed.
As a parent, melt my heart. I'm just going to cry.
That was it.
That's so lovely.
It's one of my most precious memories of my dad is that.
Oh,
love that.
Okay, I guess I'll soak that in for a minute because that's so nice and visceral.
Just take it in.
So Travis Kelce picked her up, all 5'10" of her.
No, she's not small.
Straight from the drive-in.
But it was pretty sexy. I didn't obviously see the show, but I did see the clips, and the crowd went bananas.
Okay, I didn't like it.
You thought it was like flashy of the relationship?
I thought it was like it was okay. It was very
send your letters to Caitlin. You heard me say I loved it.
I know this is not like. And I like them being together. I think they're a great couple. I love when people are happy together. I'm all good with that. He was like wearing a top hat and he was like one of her backup dancers. And I just thought it was a bit cringy. There was like,
Caitlin,
I'm not a PDA like person. And
Caitlin, he learned a dance. He's a foot fucking ball player.
I know, but I didn't like it. I was just like, I just didn't. It wasn't for me. It was it felt like a bit cloying, and I just the like media critic in me came out, and I just thought I'm all for him when you show him like standing off to the side of the stage and he's singing and he's loving it, but when he is now part of the show in a top hat, I just felt we had jumped a shark. We had jumped the shark on their relationship, and it was a little too. Also, it's like sometimes you want to, you want to feel.
You kill me.
You want to feel comfortable with them being like together, and I know that her other relationships, they really kept her a secret, and I think that was a problem for her. But I don't know. There's a curse to it all. There is something about it that makes
what happens after.
Yes, I'm like, play it cool.
What do you mean?
Man?
What happens after, you knuckleheads? What happens after? He came and did a show with her. They probably had great sex afterwards. Later that night.
It's not about.
They had pizza.
It's not about. No, it's not about the next 24 hours. It's about the next few years. It's just that when you become part of this public storyline,
he's Yoko Ono.
He's Yoko Ono. He also wants to get into show business. So again. Media critic Caitlin
that's going to be its own demise. The people will decide.
There is a sidebar to this story.
Oh my god!
Did you see the Dave? Did you see the Dave Grohl Foo Fighters stuff?
Yeah, I did.
So, quick summary: Dave Grohl went on stage, said something about like, "Oh, this is the Errors tour versus the Eras tour," and then made a joke about, "But we all sing." And then Taylor.
No, he was talking about they did live, that they did live music, and Taylor's band is all live. It's all live music.
Exactly. So Taylor like rebutted in her next show, being like, "Excuse me, we're all live on this stage, my dude." And that kind of made me sad about Dave Grohl, who I normally love. I was like,
"Thoughts, Caitlin?"
Dude.
I think his daughter had previously made some public comments about Taylor Swift's private jet and her carbon footprint.
Jeepers.
So now I'm like, is this a case where like the daughter has like activated something for her dad, and then
Caitlin has the dossier on everything.
So I don't know if that's like fully formed what it is, but Dave Grohl seems like a very normally just kind of like a very like
nicest
chill,
guy in rock and roll.
He rolls with it.
Like a chill guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a weird also cringe moment for me where I was kind of like, well, it was a little bit like old man yells at cloud vibe for him, which I don't think is like
I can't believe a band isn't singing live.
Yeah, it was a little like that, which I just feel that he's above it or should be above it.
It's a little jealousy.
I think that's what it is.
It's a little bit jealousy, but she in her rebuttal, she's like, "Listen, I'm playing another sold out 90,000 person show here." And she did say to her 3.5 hours of this particular show, and she said, "I just want you to know my band really deserves this. They're playing live for you for 3.5 hours," and the crowd went wild. Let's as artists, let's just decide something right now. Support each other. Once again, that whole idea of success being a ladder, there's so many thousands and thousands of different kinds of bands out there that are doing it on different levels. Obviously, Taylor Swift is at a level to which we have not seen in our lifetime. If you were alive for the Beatles, I'm sure you did experience a very similar the craze of the Beatles, where there was 110,000 people sometimes gathered to see them.
Yeah, they couldn't even hear their own music back in their headsets.
Yeah, they didn't have the proper amplification tools. They didn't have the right microphones or amplifiers to even hear what they were doing. It was just screams. It was one of the reasons the Beatles stopped doing it. They saw no point in going and singing live. They wanted their harmonies to be heard. They wanted their intricate musicianship. Anyway.
But I agree with you, because it's like I'm going to see.
Just be fair, be nice.
Well, in this Friday, like I'm going to see an artist who's like far more like indie than anything else, Kurt Weill.
I knew you were going. Yeah.
So he's like really my like one of my favorites, like him and like Tame Impala on my like rock or indie side. That's where I lean. But I also love Celine Dion and Rihanna more than anything. So again, it's this notion that you have
can like
to be,
a lot of different stuff.
Music is for everybody. And
so why do you think he'd say something like that, Caitlin?
I don't know.
It sounds petty.
It sounds elitist. It just sounds very unwelcoming and
so
elitist.
You can only like our kind of stuff. You can only like this, and that stuff isn't legitimate. It comes from jealousy, envy, and he's lived an entitled, privileged life. He's gone, the Nirvana legacy. He has ridden that fucking pony for many, many years, and it has a lot to do with success of Foo Fighters as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
just was
think
kinda
Kurt
like,
Cobain would have said anything like that. I really don't. I think Kurt Cobain would have said,
Oh,
"Cool."
now shade is being thrown.
No, I think
I
Kurt
don't
would have
think
been like, "Hey, cool." That would have been.
Yeah.
and I don't even know that necessarily, like, I would have anticipated even 5 years ago Dave Grohl would have said that. So that's just why I was like, it was a bit of like,
It caught me
came
off
It was. It
guard
was a
about him.
low.
it
It was
came
so
left. I was
stupid.
like, okay, well,
Yeah.
anyways, I think he will probably not be happy with having said that in the end, but
It's just
Yeah.
stupid.
but yeah.
What she's done for the music industry is,
Nothing
without.
short of epic.
Oh man, it's just been so
Okay, wait.
so wonderful.
On the tip of music, because we've been looking at our summer playlist. I listen to it all the time now. I'm obsessed
I do
with the summer
too.
playlist.
I
Yeah.
love our summer playlist.
It's
Jann's
so good.
Summer Jams 2024. If you're looking on Spotify, I've had a few people saying, "Oh, I'm getting another playlist," or "I'm getting the Biddlemore's playlist."
Link it
Don't
from our
just
show notes.
well,
We have the
don't.
link in there.
But it's
Yeah.
easy. Jan's Summer Jams 2024. So
And
Watermelon.
there's a little watermelon emoji, and now it's been saved 267 times.
Shit, really?
It's good, and
Oh.
it's not to be confused with our other former iHeart playlist. This is the only one. That one's
Yeah.
still good, but it's not this year's.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I really am loving going through it, and just you can click on it start to finish, and it takes you on a bit of a musical journey.
I recommend
Does it
a
ever?
shuffle. It needs a shuffle.
Oh, you like a shuffle? Okay.
Yeah, because the weaving in and out. Sometimes, if I was on a Casey Musgraves high when I was adding songs, then they're kind of close together. So do a shuffle. Do a
Okay.
shuffle.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
I
it's
like it.
great, and I love. I'll have Sarah play some of the voice notes that we've received. I've been saying voicemail, but screw me up the sidewalk. It's not the right thing to say. Voice notes. And we've got some cute ones about Moondance, Van Morrison.
I love this from Kim, or not
Yeah.
Kim, from Miranda.
And then we had a note from Kim about finally finishing the Biddlemores, and
So sweet.
we had a question from a listener. Should we talk
Yeah.
about the question?
Sure.
So Kat sent in a voice note basically asking our opinion on how do you go away, the price of hotels. Oh my God, everything's so crazy. And I mean, my immediate answer is, well, you split it with 12 people. That's the only way.
You can still find rooms for $150 out there. And I'll tell you right now, folks, you might be anti apps, travel apps. Trivago's great. Hotel.com is great. Expedia is always great. If you're willing to
Hotwire.
shift your days, Hotwire's great. These are legitimately good. A lot of people say, well, my reservation wasn't honored and they didn't have it and the app screwed up. That's not going to happen. Really. It's just not going to happen. Book your hotel rooms through there. You can get great deals last minute because they want the rooms filled.
And take it from Jan, because you live on
nonstop.
the road.
Nonstop.
You're the expert on that.
Yeah.
I still, again, I know that Airbnb has become an increasingly flawed service. However, you can still find some pretty solid deals on there, especially when you factor in things like going to perhaps a smaller town or a region that only has a couple of hotels, which is so common in Canada.
Or the bed and breakfast scene too.
Look at the bed and breakfast scene. And the great thing about, a place where you have your own kitchen is that you're going to save on things like having to wake up and immediately go out for breakfast is one of my biggest pet peeves, or then spend a ton of money on room service or whatever is being offered at the hotel. So I would just point out that yes, you're going to have to pay for some kind of like a, stupid Airbnb fee, but Vrbo and Airbnb still a really decent option.
Loved mine. Loved the house that we had in North Berwick in Scotland. Man,
yes,
it was, and I'll tell you right now, it was $3,000 for the week, Canadian dollars. There was 4 of us. Do the math. 7 nights.
Wow.
So
I'm doing the math right now.
Okay, yeah, just let people know.
I did not graduate from math. I graduated from broadcasting. Divided by 7. So it's $428 a night, and divide by how many of you were there?
4.
Divide by 4. $107 a night.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sorry,
so when you travel as a group,
the value was crazy. Dishwasher, coffee. When we got there, they had a lovely loaf of bread from a local bakery. They had a jar of jam. They had some some Scottish butters. Sorry, Scottish people. They had a little milk in the fridge. I mean, half of the stuff I can't eat because I won't eat that stuff. But how nice for my friends.
And that's
who are heathens, who are still our heathens and haven't succumbed to the way of saving the world. But what a lovely frickin' host. We loved it.
And I also want to
Caitlin
add
knows.
too, like that when you opt for, a road trip potentially to save some money over flying somewhere, like there are adjustments you can make. And I know that there is a travel and tourism tax credit in Ontario. So whatever you spend on travel
Was.
within the province. Oh, they took it away?
It was a pandemic thing.
Oh, damn it. Okay, that was like $200 off. Anyways, there
Yeah.
are deals to be had if you go on these apps. Consider a road trip. There are amazing places to drive. You can drive to the eastern townships in Quebec. One of my very favorite places to go. You can find incredible deals there
They owe
on
you
Air.
money.
They
Those
should.
eastern townships owe you fucking money
The
because
Quebec?
you sing their praises all the time.
Because I'm telling you, you can get these amazing design forward private homes for very affordable. And a gas station in Quebec will have a little corner where you can buy some of the best wine you've ever had. Again,
Baguette.
a bag like, and they know food and beverage. Yes, there's a language barrier. It's increasingly hostile towards Anglos. I'm sorry, that hasn't been great in the last little while, but whatever.
Yeah.
Certain places like Magog are going to have much more of an Anglo presence, and the closer you get to the U.S., you can then zip across and go to like Vermont for day trips. Again,
Ooh.
very affordable. And my
I'm
husband,
going right now as soon as we hang up.
just go. And like the Maritimes, you can find a great deal in the
Yeah.
Maritimes this summer. I mean, hell, go walk the trails in Cape
And
Breton.
go get some chocolate covered potato chips in PEI.
The Cow's chocolate covered potato chips.
Like they're the
Cow's
most
ice cream.
ridiculous
Oh.
things ever.
I want to say, like, so yeah, those moments, I get it. And I echo her sentiments. We adjusted our travel plans this summer. You are not alone. Many people are not leaving. They're doing staycations.
Yeah.
Airline ticket prices have
I'm
gone
doing a
up.
staycation this summer.
Yeah.
Sarah's coming. She's coming for the golf weekend for my tournament.
Yeah.
And we're gonna the hot tub's ready. We're all ready.
We're
and
just staying in the hot tub. That's
Yeah.
all we're
And
doing.
like go like this might be the year where you're like, sorry, I'm gonna have to like use my friends for their guest room. Like we have a guest suite in our condo building, and like
that's a good idea.
and
Yeah,
we are
lots
booking
of
people.
friends doing that.
We are booking people into the condo
45 bucks
suite.
a night. What is it a night?
Oh no, this is Toronto, Jan. It is 120.
Oh,
Okay.
Listen, mine's 75. But
Oh.
listen, I'm closer to like West End.
Yeah.
Like I would say I'm halfway between like
Tell them it's
downtown
300.
and the
take-
airport, Pearson.
Take the money.
Yeah, okay.
But if someone's like made a weekend to like go to a show in Toronto, like at Rogers Centre, Scotiabank
Yeah.
Arena, or Bud Stage, then like cool. I'm always like to my friends, please ask me. I will always look to see if it's available
For
you, because
sure.
and you get you have a little fridge, you have
You
like
have a
it's-
little kitchenette.
like it might look outdated because my building is like I think it was 2002, this building, but whatever.
Like we stayed at
does
our
the trick.
friend's condo suite, which was so nice, and his building has like a gorgeous pool. He lives in Montreal, and we went there for F1. And so we were
Beautiful.
there for F1
Yeah.
weekend when hotel prices in Montreal become $700-800.
I'm gonna go
base
stay
a
there for
night.
FU, which is gonna
So
be great.
think about that. If you've got friends in a condo in Toronto, be like, hey, can I stay
No,
in your
it's
condo
a
suite?
great idea, and most condos do have a guest suite. I am going to inquire to see if my condo has a guest suite.
Do it.
I don't know if they do, but they could probably just bunk out in the gym. I'll just use my fob, and no one's
Jan,
Jan,
gonna
I know
check
your
in there
building.
at
You
night.
for sure have a condo
Okay.
suite because it's a relatively new build and it's a
Okay, I'll check
high
into it.
use. It's a great way for the condo corporation to make money. It's like a
Okay.
huge profit maker
It
for
helps. It helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, before we go, because we've been on here
Mhm.
for almost 50 minutes and I got to go mix a record, I want to hear
Ooh.
from each of you. I want to ask you what's one thing you heard, saw, listened to, took in this week. I want one thing from each of you very quickly. Just like I'll give you 60 seconds each.
Okay.
Sarah, I'm going to start with you. What's one
Oh.
thing that just kind of made you happy, made you something?
Hmm.
Food, something you drank, something a friend you saw.
I I golfed, and it was only my third time out. It was not with a boy. It was with one of my girlfriends who lives out of town. We meet halfway to golf, and that
Love it.
made my week.
Perfect.
That was on Sunday. It was beautiful. It was sunshine, and
That's it. That's all I needed to know.
okay, I'm cut off.
Golfing. No, you're
Caitlin.
cut off. That was beautiful. Caitlin, before we say goodbye?
I only have 60 seconds, but I'm fitting in two. And I'm going to
Okay.
shout out. I'm going to shout out Chapel Roan, who is like my new pop girl obsession. I love her song "Good Luck, Babe." It is on our summer playlist. It is
Okay.
fantastic. It is in my ears 24/7.
Her name is Chapel?
Chapel Roan, and this woman is
Got it.
Annie Lennox combined with the lead singer of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, Karen O. Her stage
Ooh.
presence is phenomenal. She is camp. She is performing. Like, she's just doing it all, and I'm obsessed with her. So it is the summer of Chapel Roan and Charlie XCX for me.
Okay.
Hot tip for our listeners on all this front very quickly. The Game Time app, if you're looking to go to a last minute concert on the night of, go in the Game Time app. All the prices go down the closer you get to the show. Even if it started, it's 10 minutes in. You can buy tickets right outside before you go in.
Shout out
Neil,
Game Time.
Neil
And then
Young.
my other recommendation for you would be to check out the new series called Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
I got hooked. I'm only one episode in. I have a lot of time for Jake Gyllenhaal content, and so I thought I'd check it out, and I was
I
not
would let him
disappointed.
touch me with his wiener.
Yes, let's just say it. It's Pride, so let's just.
I would let him touch me with his wiener.
Okay.
I think seeing my friend Russell here in Toronto, flying in, staying in my little condo trash pad. I call it my trash pad. And we are at Universal. We are mixing a record in a beautiful studio here in Universal. And it's not costing me anything because this is my record label. And why would they charge me for something that I have to pay them to pay me back for? Did I say that right?
We love you, Universal and Russell Broom, who did our theme song.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I think that and just eating at Gia last night. Made my heart soar. Russell said he thinks it's one of the best meals he's ever had in his life.
We would echo
We
that.
had prosciutto made out of melon.
Like, come on. Because normally it's prosciutto and melon together.
This was
Unreal.
with spices and marinated and pickled and something or other. Anyway, and as every week, seeing you guys. So those are things that really cheer me on. I love doing the podcast. Just a few little recaps. I've Had It podcast. It's going to be in the show notes. Get in there and support your queer friends. I'm going to say queer, that covers everybody, your trans friends, your non-binary friends. Of course, June has been Pride Month, but every month we need to be loud and proud for people that don't have family members cheering them on. It's really important. I mean, we're going to have a better world if we support each other. We just are.
Yeah.
And just take it
learned.
easy. Just stop hating people. Shut up. And don't do it. I don't hate you for hating people. I want you to know that. I don't hate you for hating people because I know you're misinformed. I know you've been indoctrinated by parents. Most people that are listening right now, your religion isn't yours. It was given to you by parents and grandparents. So sit down and be thoughtful about what your belief system is, because 98% of it ain't your shit. It's somebody else's that they've handed to you. Anyhow,
you could just be listening to Chapel Roan.
And
listen to Chapel Roan.
And Little Swimmers. Don't swim.
Jan's Jam Summer Playlist 2024 on Spotify.
In the show notes.
Yeah. We love you. Subscribe to our podcast. We'll see you next week. We appreciate your listenership so much. Shout out to Intact, one of our favorite sponsors. Wonder Bras coming on. Cove, we're counting on you, Cove. We're waiting on you, Cove. You're supposed to have some sodas at my golf tournament, and I'm really counting on you. There's going to be some thirsty people there. And Vaseline, would it kill you to step up? It's the time of moisturizing. And
we're in a place of moisture.
Yeah. Calgary's so dry. Do you want me to lose another nipple? Do you? Do you want it just to crack off down as I'm walking down my gravel road? Come on, Vaseline, step up.
I actually do want to see that, but anyways.
Okay. Caitlin Green, Happy Pride. Sarah Burke, Women in Media Network Podcast Network people. The Women in Media Podcast Network.
Oh my God.
What?
Quickest thing. Stay
Jesus.
right there. Show and tell. 1 sec.
Okay.
For everyone
Folks,
who's watching us on YouTube, Sarah is leaving, or sorry, not watching us on YouTube. Sarah has left her microphone stand. She's coming over,
back.
and she has something in a magazine.
It's a book. It's her.
Okay. It's
she's
my
got
show and tell. This is the Costco Connection magazine.
Okay.
What is
I'm
it?
talking about
it's
us.
Sarah Burke.
Oh, the Costco Connection. What is this magazine?
This is the Costco executive members. I got a bunch of notes this morning. It's the July issue. If you're at Costco, you can get this. They did a thing on podcasting and they interviewed me about the Jann stuff. And
shut the hell up! I love Costco.
So we are
Costco
Costco members here. You can also sponsor us.
Honestly, Costco should
would it
sponsor us.
kill-
I have so much of their stuff. I love the Kirkland almond milk is so good, and
They
their
have a
kids
vodka too now.
their kids clothing. Oh my God! Please, Costco, we love you.
Costco.
Oh, I love Costco. Okay.
I can't afford to keep buying walnuts from Safeway. Like, I just can't.
Sign a magazine at the Etobicoke store yesterday.
No, they
I was
did
like,
not.
I was like, what is happening?
You're the
That's so
cutest.
wholesome. I love this wholesome Costco
Okay,
moment.
folks, this could
Okay.
turn into a 9-hour podcast. I
Sorry.
have to go to work now.
Okay.
Caitlin Green, Sarah Burke, I'm Jann Arden. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Toodly-doo.